was little Lucy's coming home from school, and she's beginning to study biology, the origin of our species. You know, we all know it could be quite confusing. So she goes over to her mother and says, "Mom, where do we come from? Besides the obvious that the child comes from his parents, but where do you come from, and where do your parents come from, and how far back do we go?" So her mother gives a broad smile, sits her down, and says, "Let me tell you, I was waiting for this day to be able to share with you some of our ancestors." And she begins to describe parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. Yeah, maybe their ancestry went back to the Mayflower or to other parts of the world. And with pride, she described, we are not alone. We are a product, sometimes the expression, we're like midgets that stand on the shoulders of giants that came before us. Beautiful. When Lucy's dad comes home, she asks him the same question. And in stark contrast to what her mother said, her father gets all disturbed. His face gets ashen. He sits her down and says, "I always rue this day where I have to explain to you where we originate from." And he begins to describe the evolutionary biological theory. And that is that millions of years ago, we originate from primates, apes. And before that, from amphibians that were once in the sea and then made it out to land. And we go back a few more billion years to one-celled bacteria. And finally, as far as we've gotten, is a ball of gas right after the Big Bang. So you can imagine Lucy's very disturbed here, even more confused. Her mother gave her one answer. Her father gave her another answer. So she runs back to her mother and says, "Mom, I don't understand. You and Dad gave me very different answers." So her mother chuckles and says, "We both told you the truth. Your father told you about his side of the family, and I told you about my side of the family." So there you have it, the ultimate reconciliation between creationism and evolution.